Now, let's turn over to Jason Unruhe. He's a political commentator and analyst out of Ontario. Thank you for your time, Mr. Unruhe. So none of the adversaries in the Korean Peninsula conflict seem to be backing down a bit. Where do you think the tensions are headed to right now?
Well, the tensions right now are going to go much, much higher than they were previously. This is a significant development in technology. This takes the DPRK's nuclear capabilities from tens of kilotons to hundreds of kilotons. This is a huge advancement that would do significantly more damage than their previous capabilities were. And U.S. President Donald Trump has continually said that there is no negotiation option here. Basically, either directly or indirectly saying that a military option is the only solution against the DPRK. And as we saw previously with an interview that Steve Bannon did with The Nation, it said that there was no military solution to the DPRK that did not result in the loss of tens of millions of lives. What's essentially happened is that the tipping point between the possibility of doing something to stop the DPRK and not being able to do anything has already passed. The DPRK has already proven that sanctions against the country no longer affect them. Now that their economy has fully recovered from the loss of the Soviet Union in the early 90s and took a significant amount of time to recover from the loss of about 60 to 70% of its trade, it is now capable of weathering the worst of the sanctions that have been placed against the country, and now can fully defend itself using almost the most modern means capable. And this puts a tremendous amount of strain on the United States and its imperialist pressure on the country. There's now very little left that the United States can even do to the DPRK now that they have this kind of capability. It's been their hope that putting pressure on China would be enough to perhaps scale back some of the DPRK's efforts, because China has an interest in having a stability in the region, and they too also don't want any war. The U.S. options have been reduced down to there is nothing that they can do at all.
Mr. Unruhe, according to South Korea, an artificial earthquake that just rocked North Korea could be as a result of North Korea's sixth nuclear test. They're not wasting any time, are they? North Korea isn't wasting any time. What do you think about that?
Well, clearly, the faster they can develop, the bigger and larger their capability to defend themselves are. It seems very likely, in my opinion, that this was a nuclear test. I mean, the timing certainly couldn't be a coincidence. And as for a 5.6 earthquake, that's certainly very significant. And I really don't think that it would be a natural earthquake. It's just too large of a coincidence in that case. I think it's very, very likely an actual real nuclear test.
One more question to you, Mr. Unruhe. Now that North Korea has taken its missile production up a notch by producing a hydrogen bomb, can you tell us what the repercussions of utilizing such a bomb could be?
Oh, this is a significant advancement. This is from maybe thousands to potentially millions of people that could die from such a bomb. Doing this on, say, a major U.S. city would be, aside from the actual loss of life, would be very significant economically. A single explosive like this thrown against a place like New York, say, particularly near the U.S., the New York Stock Exchange or something like that, would potentially have the ability to almost economically collapse the United States. I mean, it's really a twofold effect here: the actual lives that can be lost as a result of the bomb, and the economic damage that could be done. I mean, already the United States is facing the worst hurricane in decades with Harvey affecting Texas, which is already estimated to cost the United States economy about $190 billion. Throw on something as serious as this bomb, and it could potentially be the very end of the United States as we know it, if not by actual physical deaths, but by economic cost as well.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Unruhe, for sharing your thoughts with Press TV. That was Jason Unruhe out of Ontario. He's a political commentator and analyst.